Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Rochelle and I read a variety of books, and what we're going to go over is my April reading wrap-up. Now, this is a little bit delayed because honestly, I've just kind of been procrastinating making it. April was a very interesting month for me. I kind of took a step back with a lot of my reading and really made sure that I wasn't really putting a lot of pressure on myself to really read books. I really wanted to focus on taking care of my mental health and doing things that filled up my cup without giving me a lot of pressure. With that being said, it really showed on how many books I was able to go and complete for that month. And honestly, the only reason I really finished as many books as I did was because I was listening to some audiobooks while I was working. So the total amount of books that I read for the month of April was 4 books. I feel like this is definitely one of the lowest reading months that I've had for this year so far, and part of me is a little bit disappointed in myself, but the other part of me is also completely unbothered. Because, like I said, mental health was a huge focus for me in the month of April, and you know, sometimes you just need to do stuff that's going to fill your cup and not put as much pressure on other pieces. We all need to do that for ourselves sometimes, especially in this economy. So the total amount of pages that I read was 1,498, and the average amount of time it took me to complete a book was 10. Usually, give or take, it takes me around 5 days to go and finish a book, so this kind of shows that it doubled during the month of April. And for my average rating for the month of April was 3.81. It was kind of higher than it has been, I feel like, for other months, so this wasn't too bad. But let's go and look at some of the books that I read. Now, the thing is, I kind of changed around how I did my reading wrap-ups. I don't do them lowest, highest rating or things like that. Instead, I kind of do a yes, no, or maybe style with if I would recommend one of the books that I read for that month and maybe some of the pieces that I remember about it. And if not, I also leave a little bit of a summary over the book because there's just times that you can't remember what a book you read was about at all. It's one of those things when you go and talk to someone in person and they're like, hey, what books do you like to read? And you're like, yes, I do like to read books. I can't think of any of them though. And it's just one of those things. So the first book that we're going to talk about that fits this perfectly is In the Lonely Hours by Shannon Morgan. This was one that I listened to as an audiobook. I went and borrowed a copy of it through Libby. And if I'm completely honest, I don't remember what this book was about. So I feel like I would say no for recommending this one. I want to say from some pieces that I'm remembering is it involves a castle, and this one person that was adopted and doesn't really know any of her family is contacted saying she basically gets to inherit this castle. And it's just her and her daughter at this point. And her daughter is really excited about this piece. So they go and check out this castle. The main character doesn't really have any intentions of going and keeping it, and they're just kind of going and checking it out. But admittedly, she does want to know a little bit more about her family history and what happened. And there's some paranormal pieces that happen and a mystery that they try to solve. When I'm describing it, it sounds really interesting, but honestly, I remember being really bored with this book, so as I said earlier, this one would be a no for me. Then one of the physical books that I read was Surviving Daybreak by Kendra Merritt. This was a book that I picked up a few years back when we went to Denver Fan Expo. I was kind of on the lookout for disability rep books, and I was directed to go to this author who has a lot of different books that focus on different disabled characters, and they're usually always the protagonist. So I was really excited to pick this one up, especially because our character here has a prosthetic arm, and as someone with a limb difference, I really gravitate towards picking up books that I find out have limb difference representation of some sort. And since April was Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month, this book felt perfect to read. Now this one I'd probably say maybe. It was good and I had a fun time with it, but it isn't one that I'm going to rave on the rooftops and say like, hey, you need to go and pick up this book. So with the story, our main character wakes up from cryo sleep, and it seems like the ship that she's on is about to crash. And the people that are there that were keeping an eye on them are trying to get out as many survivors as they can, because if and when the spaceship crashes, no one is going to be able to survive that is still on the ship. So she is trying to go and get an idea of what's happening around her, getting pushed and pulled in all different directions, and she gets on one of the escape pods. When she goes and lands, she knows that there's a few other survivors there, and she wants to go and find them because she's on this alien planet that they were supposed to go and live and create this new civilization on, but everything kind of got derailed when their spaceship crashed. So she has a few pieces that she needs to really focus on, one being survival, two going and finding the other survivors and try to get to the area they were supposed to land on. And while she's doing this, she kind of has this AI companion that was programmed to go and help her wake up after cryo sleep. But because of everything that happened, this AI had a few different programs that were integrated in it. And the thing with AIs in this world is if they have too many programs, there is the risk that they will become too smart and have to get taken down, basically. We have this main character with her little AI companion just trying to go and survive in this alien world. And there were a lot of pieces that were really cool with it and interesting, but at the same time, there were some pieces that just felt really cheesy and took me out of the story. It also felt like the story didn't really get too deep for me. It felt more surface level. So this book was a fun little time, but like I said, it's not one that I'm going to say was absolutely amazing and you need to cast aside your TBR to go and pick up this one. If you're just kind of needing a little palate cleanser with a kind of surface level survival, then I'd say this one could be really fun to go and pick up. I believe it is also a duology, so I do want to go and pick up the next one and just know what happens next, but I'm not really in any rush to go and get the next book. Then the next book we have here is Conform by Ariel Sullivan. This one I definitely would say yes. I really enjoyed also reading this during Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month. It's such a bright book. I'm just going to hold up a picture of this here so it doesn't really mess with my lighting, but I felt like this one was also a really fun book to read during Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month, because this book really focused on genetics and having the perfect genetics for offspring. I did do a little bit of a reading vlog for this one, but I didn't really cover my final thoughts in the book because that video was more so a realistic reading week when you have a 9 to 5, and if you've seen that video, you know I kind of fell into a little bit of seasonal depression, so I wasn't able to finish the book during that vlog. But I really did like this book. It was really, really fascinating and a different take on a dystopian world. Dystopian books are absolutely some of my favorite books to go and read, and it makes me so happy that those books seem to be coming back now. But with this one, we have our main character who is currently a minor, who would have been more of a higher up person because her family had amazing genetics. But because she has heterochromia, she is looked at as lesser and her genetics are not ideal. So when that happens, the people that have these non-ideal genetics are placed in the more minor area. They could potentially have the chance to go and mate with someone that has more ideal genetics, and that kind of brings them up into the clouds in this area. So there's a lot of different pieces there and statuses and whatnot. It was really, really fascinating. But when you get that piece that she was looking at and really relying on becoming a part of, suddenly she's realizing that some pieces aren't necessarily ideal and not what she's always dreamed about. And now she's conflicted on who to trust and what exactly her heart is feeling her drawn towards. I really enjoyed this, and there's also another book called Beneath, which to my knowledge is a prequel series, and I really do want to go and pick that one up and see if I can get a little bit more of the history and whatnot that happened before Conform came out. So this was one I really enjoyed. I was very excited for it. I rated it 4 stars, but that kind of was because of some of the romance pieces and whatnot. There were just some spots in the book that really kind of took me out and I wasn't really in love with. But like I said, I really did enjoy it, and this book 100% would be a yes for me. And then last book I'm going to talk about is 13 Months Haunted. This one I also did talk a little bit about in my vlog as well, and honestly I think this one would be a yes for me too. I did listen to this one through an audiobook as well, and I feel like that was a really fun way to go and listen to this book because it had a few moments that were really immersive, because there were moments in the book that had this dial-up tone with our main character using this e-journal to go and document some of the things that are happening, and I just thought that was so cool and a great way to also add another piece to the story and really bring you into it. So our main character is working at a library, and she basically comes across this mom and daughter who their whole relationship seems a little bit weird and a little bit odd to her, and suddenly she finds herself a little bit more drawn to them, especially with the younger girl and some of the things that are happening. And one thing leads to another, and she discovers that this little girl is haunted, and because of this whole situation that happened, her sister and her dad are no longer alive anymore. So she's trying to figure out, like, is this real? What's going on? What is happening here? And it just was so good. It kind of reminded me a little bit of The Ring, but make it more of an email type of thing, and a chain email specifically. So this was really cool and definitely something different that I've never read before. So if you're interested in something that kind of reminds you a little bit of The Ring but attached to an email, I definitely would recommend going and checking this one out, especially maybe during Halloween when you want to get more of those creepier vibes. But yeah, those were the 4 books that I read during the month of April. Like I said, it was a little bit of a more chill month for me, but honestly, I feel like it was great to go and do that and take a little bit of a mental break. And now I'm just excited to see how much I read in the coming months. I'm definitely getting out of my little reading slump after taking things a little bit slower, so we'll see what I read in May. But if you got to this point in the video and you don't know what to comment but want to show that you were here and support my channel, then maybe go and leave a CD in the comments just for 13 Months Haunted. And if you do like my videos and want to see what I put out next, maybe consider going and subscribing. And also, if you want to continue supporting me, liking or leaving a hype also really helps out my channel. It helps drive my videos to people that might not have seen this tiny corner of the internet, so any support like that is always very much appreciated. And as always, I'm so thankful for all of you being here and spending time with me on my little journey on booktube. But as always, I wrap up my videos with this little reminder to always remember that you're worthy and capable of amazing things. Bye, friends. Make this really hard for filming. Filming does not mean kisses time.